Hello and happy day, everyone. Welcome to Co-Founder Connect series. Oh my goodness. I apologize for being late. Meeting ran over. You all know how that is sometimes. And so was not able to get here right on time, but we're here now. And let us get started. I'm pulling up the information. Okay. Happy day, everyone. Welcome to Co-Founder Connect. I appreciate you, Tim, for being here on time and sending me a message like, where are you? And sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes
Life happens. Yeah.
life happens, right? Things occur. But let's get right into it. Tim, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. A little bit about myself. I wrote a book called The Co-Founder Code based on just my own co-founding journey. I started a couple companies and just learned the good, the bad, and the ugly of co-founder relationships. At the same time, I was teaching entrepreneurship in Seattle. And so I got a ton of questions from students about their co-founders. Things like, I don't know, how do I find a co-founder? How do I split equity? What do you do when you fight? Questions like that. And so co-founder dynamics and co-founderships have sort of been my focus. So now I have a newsletter called Cherry Tree. And alongside that, we have the uh, coaching program that's more sort of engaged and hands-on. And then, of course, the co-founder cohort. If you think the newsletter is a little bit too, surface level, but you don't quite need one-on-one coaching. So that's where we're here. I think you're muted. I
Yes,
can't hear
yes.
you.
Thank
Or is
you
that
so
just
much,
me?
Tim. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for introducing yourself. I have put his website there for you all to peruse and sign up for his newsletter to get a taste of him and get to know him better. Even though we're doing that now, so let me
Mhm.
introduce myself. I'm Erica Kese. I'm a love force with mysterious wisdom, celebrating life. I love collaboration. And I love being multifaceted, definitely a multifaceted leader. And one of the things that I am all about is being a Thrive strategist. And one thing about the work that I do is I've been working with a lot of entrepreneurs for a long time. Recognize that a lot of people do courses, cohorts, and sometimes may not make it through. And so I have come up with a way that you can thrive through that and onward. So that's part of what we'll be doing today. Thank you all. Thank you so much for responding, viewer. Love having you here. So yes, we're here regarding Co-Founder Connect. And so just a statistic here is, according to the latest data, up to 90% of startups fail. What's so funny is I was telling a friend about that earlier today. She's like, 90%. I said, yeah. Yeah. And it is because people have definitely situations, if they're working with other people and they already had some concerns with their own relational ways of living, their attachment, or things that's going on with them, they bring that into the relationship. And also, you're hitting up against another person with your issue. So you're both hitting up against each other. So it takes a lot of emotional intelligence to be here and to work with the co-founder. One thing that I want to mention is, you talked about this, Tim, last week, is that what a co-founder is, and we can kind of go into that again. But it takes emotion. It does take emotion here, and to be cognizant of your emotion. So, Tim, what would you like to say regarding this statistic, or whatever you would like to share today about co-founders and connecting them?
Yeah, I mean, as our audience knows, if you're listening to this, you're probably an entrepreneur, probably a co-founder of some sort. And, we don't need to tell you how hard it is. You know how hard it is. There's a million things that can ruin your startup. Maybe Google comes and builds a replicate, or maybe you run out of money, or maybe advertising costs are just a little bit too high right now, or your competitors are, whatever the situation is, right? a lot of those are external, sort of market conditions or circumstances outside of your control. You can't control what Google does, for example. But the sort of most heartbreaking reason that startups fail is if there's a co-founder conflict, because that's fully within your control. That's 100% up to you and your co-founder, or if you have multiple co-founders. And so I believe it was 65%, roughly around there, of startups that fail because of co-founder conflicts. Some say it's the number one cause of startup death. And so, to your point about emotion, you guys know starting a company is like raising a child. You're emotionally invested in it. Your company is your baby. And if your co-founder doesn't treat it the same way, you're gonna have tension. Or if you start to see the company as sort of not as much of a priority as your co-founder, you're gonna have tension there either way. And so a lot of times it's not binary. It's not, oh, I feel emotion about it or I don't. It's, life happens. We have different priorities. Sometimes we have different financial commitments, whatever it is. And, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and think that we all have, good intentions. And so then it's just a matter of navigating those challenges in the best way so that not only do you preserve your friendship and your partnership, but your company actually thrives because of it.
Absolutely. And I love that you said thrives because of it. You have to have the hard conversations. You have to have them. And so, can you tell us of just we talked about this the first time we were together, was stories are important. People needing to hear stories. So, do you by chance have a story that you can share about that, and maybe how a problem that a co-founder that you work with had, and how they were able to persevere through using your guidance?
Yeah, I mean, stories are great. Everybody loves stories, but it makes it so tangible and concrete. Let me think of a good one. I have so many. Let's see. Oh, when I was writing my book, I was interviewing a lot of co-founders who I'd worked with before, sort of to interview them and get their thoughts on some of the stuff I was writing about. And so I had scheduled a call with a group that was making this AI tool that helped people who were visually impaired. Um, and so they had a really great mission. They had a lot of traction. They had customers who loved their product. They had pretty significant funding from a venture capital firm. And so I'd scheduled a call for maybe three to 4 weeks out. And by the time we hopped on the call, only one of the three other people who were supposed to come showed up. And I was like, where's everybody else? And she said that the company had broken up. They disbanded because the co-founders had an argument about the direction of the company and they just could not get over it. And at the time I was thinking, wow, this is terrible. Well, it is terrible. They were genuinely helping a lot of customers, people who had this a disability that they couldn't get around otherwise, and they were building the best tool in the market objectively. And so that was such a shame, but also it I, selfishly, I thought it was good content for the book, right? It's an interesting story. It's dramatic, all that good stuff, which makes great content. But I caught up with all the co-founders separately after that because we were still in touch and we were still good friends, and each of them sort of had different versions of the same story. And so it was clear to me that even they weren't even fighting about exactly the same thing, right?
Yes.
And everybody everybody knew they were fighting. Yeah, they split up because of it, but they weren't even fighting about the same thing. So I guess I sort of helped them see that. Um, Unfortunately, they did not continue the company. Uh, I, I'm not exactly sure what happened to the product, but that's sort of a tragedy of what happens when co-founder conflicts aren't resolved, when I really think they could have been.
Spending more time with you, maybe even doing this cohort could have helped with that. kind of really think through. It's, this reminds me of a story that I've had where I was working with a couple, because I really do feel like this is the same. It's one and the same. You are entering into relationship. And so when entering into a relationship with someone, even a marriage, I asked them what was their vision, right? What are their values? They both said peace. Their values is peace. I asked them to define peace. One said, the husband said, to have no conflict. The wife said, to do whatever it takes in order for us to feel good in our space and to feel satisfied. Okay. Well, her definition includes conflict, right? And him avoiding it then caused issues because he's avoiding. She's trying to develop what they're saying that they want, according to her. And then it becomes that they're not able to get on the same page until someone says, wait a minute, define that. What does it mean? Now, what is it that what are the values of this family? How do you handle all these things? And this is something that you all are going to learn in spending time with Tim in this cohort, but also with spending time with me, because I'll be onboarding you and doing a thing called the Thrive Plan, where we're going to talk about the conflicts that come up in your life. And when you have the conflict that comes up, what is your natural proclivity of what you're going to do? And then based on your conditioning, and then what can you do instead? What kind of coping can you do so that you don't go straight into that same behavior? So then you're coming from a place of thinking clearly. That's the issue that I feel like most co-founders are having in couples and relationships, is that they're not thinking clearly about the overall relationship, the values, the connection, and also the purpose and the vision of what they were trying to create in the first place, right? If you can stay there, then all this other stuff you can deal with if everybody can stay focused on where you're going.
I think you're exactly right there. It's not about never having conflict, right? They say being in a high stress situation exaggerates all of your qualities, good and bad. And starting a company is definitely a high stress environment. And so who you are just becomes magnified. And there's bound to be some sort of conflict or disagreement uh, and challenges associated with that with your co-founder, because you are different people at the end of the day. And so it would be naive to say that you'll never have any conflict. What's more important is how you address these and actually use them as learning opportunities. And so I think people understand that intuitively, but may or may not have the frameworks and sort of guiding principles to help actually do that in a day-to-day. As in, we're having this conversation right now. What do you say? Right. And that's a
Yes,
whole new game.
yes. We're having this conversation right now. Can I get myself to centered so that I can have this conversation from a place where I'm not going to cause harm in this relationship, so that we can continue to do the thing that we love, that we want to do with each other. And so I have another circumstance that came up when I had a couple that were running a business together. Okay. And so we're having our onboarding call, and the husband is talking to me about how he's overwhelmed with all the things that's going on. And the wife is saying, well, if you do this, and this, it wouldn't be like that. Right. And so I'm thinking, especially in a meeting with someone else, like at least not kind of share that there's so much going on between you two when you're onboarding to a program about building your business. It may not be a good place to share and say these things, right? So he's looking devastated in this meeting. She's just coming down on him in the meeting. That's something that you actually need to think about and work on in your relationship. How do you show up in meetings, in the public, for the reputation, as co-founders, as a couple? What are some things that maybe you all need to talk through, to find those concerns, those conversations? It seemed like to me they really needed to have those hard conversations amongst each other before they start sharing that, airing that out, to people who maybe not don't need to know that kind of thing. And that's a conversation, right? Those are the hard conversations, like how do we show up in the world? Talking to, if you have a meeting with Tim to set up one-on-one, yeah, you can tell him all and air your dirty laundry, but not out in the public, because that only gives more hard feelings.
Yeah, and I think I always say it's you and your co-founder against the problem or against the world, And so if you're not aligned,
Yes.
um,
I love that.
it'd be really hard to get past that. So I totally agree with that. I call it flipping over the rocks. You have to flip over the rock and deal with the creepy crawly things underneath, even though you don't want to deal with those bugs. But if you leave them be, they might take over the whole house, and then you get infestation problem. So might as well just flip it over, squish it, be done with it.
I like that. Tim, you got all the little things, I like that. Flip over the rocks, because definitely there's some under there. There's so many things that are not spoken, and I just recognize when I'm working with people, it doesn't matter who, it could be my counseling clients or my coaching clients, there's a lack of understanding, and I think it has everything to do with the lack of being able to communicate in the most effective ways towards the person that you're involved with. And so kind of going through this cohort or talking and having these conversations will help you to feel like, I think it's a confidence issue too. Like, don't you think that it's, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings? But when you're in a co-founder relationship, you have to say the things that need to be said, because it's
Right.
for the best of the unit, for the whole organization.
Yeah, this is especially important if you're really good friends. Sometimes people start companies with strangers or acquaintances. Sometimes they start it with their absolute best friend. And this is especially important if you were friends first, because sometimes when you are really close, you assume that you know each other, and that makes you sort of neglect explicit communication. I see this a lot with couples who come to me who work together. College roommates who became co-founders. They've lived together. They've traveled the world together. Some of them are romantically involved with each other. And they really, really know each other as people, and that's great. That's an advantage in so many ways compared to starting a company with somebody you met online or a previous coworker that you don't really know. But it also comes with its own challenges where you don't want to hurt them. You know, even if you do recognize that you need this explicit communication, you don't want to damage their ego or hurt their feelings because you care about them. You love them as a friend or as whoever, as a co-founder. So it can be really hard, but it's kind of like raising your children, right? You don't want you can't protect them forever. And so sometimes having the bitter truth come out is actually good for the partnership because it'll help both of you grow.
Oh my goodness. Like, I am so with you on this explicit communication. It's a skill. Communication is a skill that I think that all people need to be working on a regular basis. How well did you communicate? What it, maybe not even using words, understanding that a lot of it should be listening. Um, Communication, explicit. It has to be. It has to be happening. And that's one of the, I feel one of the deficits that is, that you probably are going to be addressing in the cohort, is making sure that you're having the conversations and that they're explicit, like writing it down. See, that's what I love about being a COO is, listen, I am all about a SOP. And the SOPs are, this is like, here a fifth grader can have this and they can run that part of the business with this guide. And that's how we have to communicate with others. There's no such thing as over communicating when you're in a co-founder relationship, or even building our relationships at all. Like, it's important to have everything written out, and everybody's clear on where you're going, where you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to interact, what is the expectations. Yeah. So awesome. Absolutely amazing. So is there anything else that you want to share before we go and talk about the offer that we want to share with them?
No, I think we covered a lot. Let's talk about the offer and tell the people what we have for them.
Okay, absolutely amazing. So we are very excited about offering you Co-Founder Connect. It is going to be a 6-week virtual cohort. And it is a collaboration between Cherry Tree, your Goal Concierge, and Startup Grind. It will be housed through Startup Grind. And the orientation is going to be on October 15th. And so you can register. Let me go ahead and put the registration link up here for you. You can register at Co-Founder Connect, bit.ly/Co-Founder Connect. The co-founder meetings and cohort meetings are going to be on Tuesday from 6 until 7 p.m. Central Time. And then also, let's go into the benefits. I love to hand this over to Tim so that he can share about the benefits of the program.
Sure. Yeah, we kind of touched on bits and pieces of this earlier. It's really for people who want something more than a weekly newsletter, but less than one-on-one hands-on coaching. And so this will give you a perfect middle ground where you get a lot of the reasoning and the philosophy behind why these sort of challenges occur in the first place. And then you also get scenarios to talk about where I take companies that I've worked with before or that we've seen on the news and sort of work through what works and what doesn't work and why, so that when we put your companies in those situations, you actually have the actionable, conversation starters and tips and tools to and navigate those for yourself. So we go from big pictures, sort of like the psychology behind things, to focusing on real world scenarios, to actually tailoring it to you and your co-founder, so you know how to navigate those things and drive success together.
Absolutely amazing. I love that. I love this, especially the real world scenarios. People
Yeah.
need that so much. They need to hear the other stories so that they can resonate with particular people within the stories. And I think that sometimes, well, I know this in psychology, is that when I'm working with people, sometimes I ask them to, if it was somebody else, how would you handle this, right? And they have the answers, but if it's it's inside, right? They can't see it until they actually are sharing how they would handle it. And so it kind of subconsciously goes inside of them and helps them to build out the answers, the right answers for the situation. Thank you so much, Tim. So we want to share with you that the total price of this cohort is only $500. Like that, just what you're going to get is worth so much more than that. I appreciate Tim reaching out to me. There are plenty of these programs out here that are talking towards communication and psychology and relational issues, and they're not including a therapist or someone who is trained in behavioral health. Well, I just think it's this forward thinking that Tim has decided to interact with me. And so you're getting years of experience. Tim is also a professor. I'm also an author of a book called Honey, You Need Counseling Skills. You're getting so much from this interaction of you joining this cohort. It's so much more than $500. I would say it's worth a college degree. But we're only charging $500. And if you want to pay for the whole 6 weeks, you can get it for $450. So if you go to that link, it'll take you right in to go ahead and get yourself registered. And please bring your co-founder, and the people who have some emotional connection to the success of your endeavor. Bring them on as well. This is a great professional development for your organization. People don't think about that sometimes when they're doing startups, is to have professional development, but you definitely need it, and you will be doing it in the future. It's important to go ahead and get started to set the stage for success and a continual process and project. So 6 weeks for $450. And then if you by chance want to split that up, you can do $250 for 3 weeks, and then we'll bill you for the rest. And so please join us. Co-Founder Connect. This is the bit.ly and the QR code. So you can get your phone and hover over that and see it'll take you straight in to register and to get going on paying for your Co-Founder Connect cohort. Now, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can put your questions in the DM. I did earlier put up Tim's LinkedIn information. If you would like to go and check him out and ask him a question, please do. If you would like to go and check me out on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and ask me a question, or you can put a question in here so that other people who are watching this on the replay can see your question and we can answer it for you. But we are here to hold your hand through this process and walk you through the co-founder connection. And then lastly, we will be coming back again. Today is the 6th. Okay. Yes, the 6th. And so we'll be coming back again the 10th, the 19th of September, and then October the 8th and the 10th. So please check out our additional talks. We're going to come and keep chatting with you all about the importance of, like, first of all, what is a co-founder relationship? What's the importance of having this conversation? Why is it so important to do this? As you saw earlier, 65% of startups fail because of this. Let's not let you have this situation. And so put this into your life, invest in this so that you can have a great relationship. Tim, is there anything else that you want to share before we go?
I'm just super excited. This is going to be great. We're opening it up to basically anyone because it's online. You don't need to be in a certain place. All you have to do is show up. Erica, do you have to be a Startup Grind member to sign up for this?
Oh, no. Oh, thank you. That's a great question. You do not have to be a Startup Grind member. Actually, when you register, it'll automatically make you a member. So you just register for it, and then you will start getting all the emails associated with the cohort. You can start, like, we have an option on there in the event page that you can start speaking to and discussing with the other people who have registered. So you all can start having conversations with each other to build out your relationship prior to coming to the cohort. So that's an option for you. You also see the other Startup Grind things we have. For example, we have co-working that happens every Thursday. We have a business bestie group that happens every Thursday as well. We have a talk about imposter syndrome, a talk about business owner burnout. All this is going on in Startup Grind already for you. So you will be getting that information as well, but definitely all the information that you need as we are inching up to the October 15th event orientation where you're going to come and spend time with Tim and I and get oriented into the program. So, any other questions, Tim? Thank you for that one.
No, I think it's all good. All looks good to me.
Okay, absolutely amazing. You all create a thriving rest of your day. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat and we will love to answer your questions. Bye.